Yeah. Got it. Hello, Mr. Giles.
Morning.
Mr. Danielle's here.
Hey, good morning.
So
Is
Natalie
that
and
it?
Jason are taking the day off. They figure because they have a tournament that they're exempt from being instructors.
That's right. That's cool. Good for them. When is that? Today or
We're
tomorrow?
we're taping today, and
Taping
then
today.
it'll be out there starting next week. I don't know exactly when. Everything
That's
is
cool.
due. Yours is the big one, bud. Everything is due the so they each have to do 6 forms.
Oh, wow.
So
That's a lot of fun.
two for each round, potentially. Oop, excuse me. So 2 for
Right.
each round.
Okay.
So yeah. So we have to tape for all of them. Not sure, knowing if they're gonna make it beyond the preliminary round. So it's preliminary,
Wow.
semifinal, and then final. So basically, the way it works is based on the number of competitors. The preliminary round, they take the top half based on score to move into the
Okay.
semifinal round. So if you've got
Cool.
23 people, they'll take the top 12 into the next round, into the semifinal round. And then when you're in the semifinal round, you have to finish in the top 8 to make it to finals.
That's tough.
Yeah.
But it sounds cool. You said it's a national competition too.
Well, national level, yeah, because this is a point tournament, meaning that each athlete gets to score or has the potential to earn points for their ranking.
Okay.
So
Okay.
basically, what it is the more that they
Yeah.
compete and the better they do, the more points they accumulate, and then that helps with their seeding when it comes
Correct.
to like nationals
Nationals.
and things like that. Yeah. And it's the first. The sparring's been doing this for a while, for a couple years now. Sparring's been doing this, so now the Pumse piece is trying to follow suit
You
because
mean
I
with the
think they're
points?
trying to move more away from. They're trying to move away from the kind of competition where everyone does the Pumse and then everyone gets scored, and then they just kind of take the top group of them.
Yeah.
They actually want to put them up against each other, so it becomes like a match.
Oh, I
So
see.
you're going to be paired up with someone, and okay, if you score higher, then you win, and you go on to the next round.
Cool.
That's what they're trying to move towards. So, all right, I think it's just you and Mr. Daniel. So,
All right.
I think today. So let me go and turn the light on real
Cool.
quick and get a little bit of circulation. He can't hear you, sir, because my mic is plugged in. So Mr. Daniel says, "How are you, sir?"
Yeah, I read his sign language.
Oh,
There.
you read the sign language. Awesome.
That's cool.
All right. So Mr. Daniel said that this is the weakest point of his education is the takedown piece.
Yeah, that would be an interesting. I don't want to have to categorize that for myself.
Right? Yeah, right. It's all right. It's all right. No worries at all.
I don't know.
So
Eddie came up with a whole bunch of them last night, so that was pretty fun.
yeah,
Very interesting.
and there's basically the movements are similar. There are a little the ones that she did. I know she was a little nervous.
Yeah.
Even though she said that she was not. I can certainly tell.
That's Addie.
Exactly. I understand that. I mean, she's definitely getting better in that process,
Yeah.
being a lot more confident, but certainly
That's true.
it's like everyone. Everyone gets that sense of jitters when it comes to something big. And that's only because she takes pride in what she does. And
that's true. That's true. Yeah. She doesn't want to look bad or make a mistake. So
exactly. And and if you do it in that manner, then, there's nothing wrong with that from a character standpoint. That's a good quality to have. So,
yeah, I remember doing my testing. I was always nervous. Like just always nervous.
There was never a point, even in my instruction, right? I get that pre-game jitter, right? The moments leading up to, when I start the Zoom feed and everything. Um, before I get ready to say "Cheria Kyungnae" for the start of class, I still get the butterfly in my stomach. I just, it's like, oh, I want to make sure I get everything down that I hope to accomplish in class today. Even if I'm flying off the cuff and I, change things up and I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, there's still that sense of nervousness, just that
Oh,
tiny
yeah.
bit. But then once I, give that first command, then it's almost like a release.
Oh,
Right?
that's cool. Yeah. You know what's happening.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, he was saying that how he gets nervous for people watching them getting ready and so forth. And,
Yeah. I'm with you.
and now, like, for me, like when I'm watching my pastor get ready to speak, I know what he's going through because I'm going through those same kind of things, the moments
Right.
leading up to it. So it just gives you a better appreciation and a perspective, obviously, just like anything else. The instruction piece is always a nice perspective. You get to not only be, for the longest time you've been the student, and now you're on the other side, making sure that the student knows everything that they need to know. And so it gives you a different perspective. And then when you become that student again, you have a better appreciation of, wow, they can manage the class really well, or okay, it's a little bit overwhelming, it's a little bit tough. You got the kid that's picking his nose on the side, you got the other kid that doesn't want to be here, and trying to manage all of those different personalities in a class or all the different
So,
ranks. And see, that's the thing is teaching here is a little bit difficult because of the fact that I don't segregate out by belt rank. You don't have beginners, intermediates, and then advanced students only taking class, right? You have a beginner and you also have an advanced student. So how do we manage that? How do we get it so that obviously the beginner student's always going to get something out of class? How do we keep that same intensity, that same mindset for a black belt, right? Doing a class with a bunch of white belts and yellow belts, right? So,
yeah.
all
I mean,
right.
you do it well.
Well, thank you. I say I've
I'm
always
always
done,
challenged.
I've always done it because even growing up, I remember, man, I always wanted to be in that front row. We had a class of like 50, 60 people in
Wow.
class. And it's like, man, I always wanted to be in the front row. And I hated being in the back. One, because I'm short and you can never see the instructor, right? Because everyone's tall. But, two, from a standpoint status, right? It's like, wow, you become a
Yeah.
black belt, you're going to be in that front row.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my goal. That was like, I'm going to be that black belt one day. I'm going to be in that front row. I want to be in that front row. All right. Not so much that everyone could see me. It was just, well, no. So I could see the instructor. That was literally the motivation, right? Because my instructor never went into the class. He always stayed on the outer
Mm-hmm.
edge, right? So you have a block,
Uh-huh.
a rectangular block or a square block, right? And he always stayed on the outside giving commands and calling out commands. And he would always be on the outside kind of pacing around. He never actually went in
Yeah.
and did stuff. He made us black belts do that,
There you go.
right?
Yep.
So
You were like a green belt. You were in the middle always.
yeah, or as a beginner, he would never go around like on the backside. Like for me, I will watch people from the back to kind of see what he's doing. He would always just keep a U. The front of the school and then the sides, and that would be it. But he would
Old school, I
primarily
guess.
spend 80% of his time in the front, just side to side, pacing, shouting out commands.
Yeah.
And then if he kind of glanced and happened to see someone kind of in between his passing, he would call black belt, hey, go over there and help that green belt. Or help that, brown belt, or excuse me, blue belt. If they were caught in the middle. So it was just one of those things. And like for me, I just wanted to be seen. I want to be able to see him.
Sure.
So, so that was my motivation. But
Cool.
all right, so needless to say, let's go through some of the real basic takedowns, the ones that we typically teach the kids. All right. And so what we'll do is Mr. Giles will do it basically facing you. Right. So.
Oh, thanks.
So this is the one where if you're punching with the right hand, right? So I'm here, I'm going to punch this way. Okay. So that first one that we usually do with the kids is we're going to step across with our right leg into a horse riding stance. At the same time, we're going to do an outside in block, 1. So at this point here, what we're trying to do is when Mr. Daniel steps, if I'm here, he wants to step across. So he wants to be past my foot, right? So basically, let's scoot back just a little bit so you can kind of see here from a footing standpoint. So if my foot is here, sir, you can see my foot, right, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when Mr. Daniel steps, he's going to step across 1. And at that same time, when he does that block, it brings that hand out, right? Okay.
Yep.
So that's the first movement. Typically what happens is kids will forget the second part of this. So when we do the first movement, 1, we come across. The second part of this is to slide toward your opponent with the left foot as you do your left elbow. Okay.
More of a front stance, sir, or a horse stance?
You're going to go into a horse stance. So you're going to come across horse and then slide back into a horse.
Kind of an offset.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, diagonal horse.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go. And so what happens is the right foot comes across to the left side, right hand outside in block, and that gets the hand out of the way. Then with the left foot, you're going to slide toward the opponent, or basically toward the camera, elbow. And what it does is it gets us really close up by them.
Is that inside of the opponent's foot or the outside of their foot? From the inside of their foot.
The
right?
first one?
No,
right
no, that's the second one.
Oh, the second
second
one stays
horse
on
stance.
the inside.
And the inside of their
Their
foot.
foot is in between your stance.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
All right. So basically, I come 1, and then I slide 2 here. And then I'll do from here. Now we do a second jab elbow or the other side.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah. So 1, and then you slide back 1, 2. Right. Now from here, once you're there, right, when you lean over, now your hip becomes leverage.
Yep.
Right. So from here, as I'm punching, and he does this, and he bends over to reach for my leg, right? It gets me a little bit off balance. Right? Besides the elbow strikes. Okay. So this is the kind of the background to why we do it this way. Because you'll see kids, they're just doing this, right? They're just doing this lift in here.
Right.
And for us, that's okay for a 5-6-year-old kid, or even like a 7 or 8-year-old kid, to understand, hey, this is what you're doing. You're blocking, and then you're learning to take someone down. But from an adult standpoint, we want to understand a little bit of this practicality. Not that we would do this particular takedown in real life, because for me, from a self-defense standpoint, why would I want to expose my back? Why would I want to turn my back to my opponent, right? Especially when I haven't even made any contact, like a strike of some sort. So I do my block. I step back here, 1, 2. Now their legs should be kind of basically centered in between my stance. So my opponent's leg should be right in between my horse riding stance at this point here. So when I bend over, I kind of push my hip, I reach up, and I lift up. And they fall to the back. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn to my right. I'm going to lift up, and then I'm going to do a side kick toward the stomach or the groin area. All right. And the reason for this is from this position here, the reason why I turn to the right is because I've got a hold of their right leg. If I turn to the left, they've got their left leg, right, that they can kick at me, right, into my open spot here. But if I turn to my right, they kick me in the butt, that's fine. I got cushion. Right? I got cushion in the butt, or the back of the leg, that's okay. If I turn to my left, though, right, now I've got inside knee, groin, right? I'm risking getting injured. Yeah. Right. So if I can turn my back to them, then I can come down a little bit more. So that's where the side kick to the groin or the gut. All right. You can also do it. I always tell the adults, I will teach the adults to stomp.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So here, just stomp down. All right. I'm not going to teach the kids to do that because kids don't have good balance.
They might not stomp in the right spot.
No, they will stomp. They will stomp, but they don't know how to control the stomp. right? As an adult, we can control with our balance. We can kind of or we can go, oh yeah, I know where I'm going to stomp, but I'm going to step to the side and stomp, right? We have that ability to kind of understand the reality of it. A kid doesn't understand it. They go, oh, I'm going to stomp. So they stomp and they're not paying attention. They blow someone's knee out, or they actually stomp on someone. And then now the kid's crying. Right. He said he wants to try to put everything down in written form. So I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, you may hear some clacking. I'm using my son's keyboard. It's a gaming keyboard, so it's noisy. Sorry.
It's all right. That's all right. Not a problem. So yeah, so basically that first angle, I like to go at about a 45-degree one here, and then I slide basically to slide back. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is typically the first one that I like to teach for the kids. All right. Mainly because outside in block movement is easier for kids to do for a block, right? Since we're not countering against front kicks, you know, obviously the easiest block for most kids is down block, low block, right? That's the first basic block. You do that the most. Right. And so the reason why I chose that versus like doing some of these knife hand ones is knife hand block isn't always done correctly by kids. Right. They just kind of stick it out. This is my knife hand block. A green belt is when you have your first knife hands in Pumse. So, but the reality is that, you know, outside in block movement is very easy. Right. It's easy to kind of think about pulling across. All right. So, and then when we're stepping with that, it makes it a little bit easier for them to understand. So that's why we typically use that particular first one as the first one. Yep. All right. So,
makes sense.
All right. So the second one that I usually like to teach, now what we try to do is we'll do, when they punch, I'm going to step with my left this time. So from here, when I step, as they step to punch, I'm going to step out. So kind of like a wide front stance. And at the same time, this time I'm going to kind of come upward, right? And this is because I'm grabbing, this is where I start to teach the open hand, right? They can do any block on this, really. If they want to do a forearm block, a high block, right? An inside out block, they can certainly do that. Right. I like to teach here at this point the knife hand block here. So teaching them to start from the hip and come across, one. And as they do that knife hand block, I'm also going to teach them to punch with the right hand at the same time. So it's a left knife hand block and a right hand punch. Punch to the cheek or the jaw. All right.
Yep.
One. And then from there, right into a gut punch. All right, so an uppercut, 1 and 2. Okay. Then with that left hand, now I'm grabbing the arm. Since it's open, I'm grabbing. And then with my right hand, I'm going to reach over to my left side. And I'm going to sweep the front leg. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to pull the leg to the side. So I'm going to bring my hand across by the knee and the calf area, and then I'm going to lift up. So that takes the leg out. They fall on their back. Right? And then once my hand is up there, then I drive it down into the punch. So I pull up and down. Now, obviously, for adults, it's a little bit more challenging because you don't getting into a deep front stance is difficult. So I tell adults from there, once you get the sweep here, then stomp.
Or stomp, okay.
Yeah. All right. So basically what happens with the student is from here, right? You do the block here, right? Punch to the jaw, punch to the gut, weakens me. Then when you come around and you hook that leg and you sweep, now I'm going this way. So right? So you got to hold the arm, I fall, right? And then Once your hand is up, then you drive down or you stomp. All right. You can stop. You can do a knee if you wanted to. Knee, whatever it is. All right. And typically, you would be aiming for like the chest area for the stomp or the knee. Okay. Not the head. And the only reason why I say not the head is because the head is hard, and if you step wrong or you stomp wrong,
Small target too.
you injure yourself, right?
Smaller target.
Yeah, it's a smaller target too, right? You can injure yourself, right? So even if you step on the left chest or the right chest, right, you're going to do damage and you're going to prevent injury to yourself. That's the biggest thing, right? So, yeah. So yeah, so we go into a front stance, knife hand, and face punch at the same time. So everything starts from kind of like the right hip and comes up, 1 and 2. Right, then sweep and boom. You can if you want. Yeah, it depends on the positioning. Yep. Okay. So you got options there in regards to that. Okay.
Want how many usually
Cool.
A blue belt, depending on the age, the younger they are, probably 3 to 4 techniques. Right. For like teenagers and adults, 4 to 6. So.
which is different from the one steps, which is 10, 10
Oh, actually the numbers are a lot higher for one steps, and we'll hit a little bit of that on the second part of this. So. All right. So, he calls you a girl Friday, sir. I have to slow down the speech. Make sure you capture everything. Yep.
Well, I figure if I don't write it down, I'll forget it. That's the thing.
And that's a great thing. I mean, that's
read it, write it, say it.
Yeah.
That's how I would.
Yeah, because Addie was like, "Well, what's going to be the 8th one?" And I'm like, "Well, they're not really numbered, and let me see what you've already done so I can figure out which one we're missing."
Yeah, and that's the
So
thing,
it's-
right? And that's the hard part is that I don't want to get in the habit of numbering these,
Yeah.
right? Because it becomes a challenge, right? Because there are so many variations. If we think about one steps, if we change the block, it's considered a different one step. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay.
One you can put it out of order.
Yeah. So, and of course, because of the fact that I haven't learned them and I memorize them in a specific order when I teach them, depending on the level, some people come every day. So they're moving up quicker than someone else. And so if I'm teaching one, I might try to teach the same one to everyone. Right. So a person that has never done takedowns before, I might end up teaching them this one. Right. Because it's fairly easy, not too difficult kind of thing. But, for that one person, that might be their number one, right?
Okay.
For everyone else's number one is this one. So,
Depends on
yeah.
how they learn it.
Yeah. And once again, I want to encourage, from a kid standpoint, I want them to kind of stay routine. So anyone that's, basically 12 and under, basically, they should be doing the ones that we teach them, right? At Addie's age and above, right? Now we start to talk a little bit more conceptually. Okay. What do we do? What are we doing here, right? So show me a one step, right? So to have them show me a one step and then say, how can we get them to the ground now? How do we change this one step into a takedown, right? That's what we start to think about, right? Encouraging the students to think about that. And maybe what you do in that process, that you show them how to make that movement, to do that sweep, right? And then with the adults, obviously it's more having them understand this is the concept. So everything that we do, you got to make sure that you're blocking the technique, you're striking the opponent to weaken them, and then you're following it up with taking them to the ground, right? Unless you're going to literally strike and sweep at the same time. right? Because there's certain takedowns that we have where we're actually blocking and striking at the exact same time and doing the sweep, right? And that's
Sorry.
typically based on trying to get them off balance. So like I like to equate it to like the wrestling clothesline. Whenever you're going at the neck
Yeah.
high, right? That's going to get them off balance because they're so used to falling back. They're not used to falling back. That leverage there. So things like where you're coming in and coming up high, right? That's literally a sweep and a strike at the exact same time. So, right, it's
Yeah.
kind of like those Aikido type of moves where you bend the wrist or you bend the elbow and then you start to pull that elbow out. And what does that do? That forces that person, because they don't want the elbow to be forced out. They fall in that motion. They follow that motion. So that's what Aikido does. Aikido, you strike, you capture the wrist, and then you start to turn it toward the elbow side.
You change direction on it.
Yeah, right. And so
Right.
basically what you're doing is you're utilizing a wrist lock, and then you're pulling it out. So now you're forcing all the movement, and you're doing it in a circular quick motion that causes your opponent to fall to the ground. All right. So, yeah.
So would it be all right then to like do the like a one step and then follow it up with like a Hapkido movement?
You certainly
If
can.
you're able to-
Absolutely. Yeah. You certainly
Would
can.
that count as a takedown?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Remember the
Because
one
I
that
remember
Addie
doing
did?
them.
Yeah. Remember the one that Addie did yesterday where I told her that wasn't the takedown?
Yeah.
Right.
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 Just kind of like pushed her over.
Yeah. It just kind of, she considered this a takedown, right? Because he was bent over. And that's really not what we're talking about, right? We're taking, basically when we talk about takedown is taking them to the ground or the opponent is on the ground. Yeah. Right. So like, so we'll do the other one. So usually the third one that I like to teach is going back to 3-set sparring number 1. You're going to step with the left leg. You're going to do a palm block, right? Right. We'll do a double punch like number 1. Okay. Then with that right hand, basically we'll reach out and grab the arm or grab the wrist, and then lift up our right leg, and then we do a side kick all the way through the target. All right. And when we were practicing, I always encourage the students, make sure that when you're on the side and you're getting ready to do that side kick, right, you're going to slowly put your leg on the knee so the student knows, and then they're going to drop to the knee, basically to go down. Yeah. All right. Because because the angle of where you're at here, so if you're over here and doing this technique, you see you're literally going this way.
Oh.
So you can't really practice this is painful. So you have to pivot and then take it down this way. Boom. All right.
Yeah.
So basically the takedown is considered getting them off of their feet, right? From a standing position. So so just because they're bent over doesn't mean they're taken down. Here, they're taken down because the knee is on the ground, right? Here. Yep. So what happens is that once that side kick goes through here, I encourage them to land straight. So kick through that leg all the way through and then land this way. You've got to hold the arm with the right hand. So you're going to pull that right arm for the chamber. And as you're chambering, you're going to do an elbow strike to the side of the temple. Okay. So from here, you've got a hold of this arm. So here, you do that side kick with the right leg. Boom, you drive it through. You see? Now you're going to pull, and then you're going to elbow. You're going to elbow with the right. Boom. There you go. You see? So this is if you don't hold on to this, right? Exactly. You're not going to get that leverage. And the other thing to think about is, right, you kick someone's knee out like this, right? The first thing that they're going to want to do if you're not holding on to the arm. So let's say you kick the knee out, right? Here. And so when you swing with that elbow, you're going to miss. Yeah, right? So we want to add insult to injury. So yeah. Right? So it's that basic motion. You kick through and then finish around.
It's a good one.
Okay. And the target is obviously the temple for that elbow strike. So we're all right. So we'll step palm block. double punch, grab, lift your right leg up, kick through, and then elbow.
One step, yeah, 3 steps.
Oh.
Mhm.
And then follow it up.
Yep. And that's one way to teach one steps as well. And takedowns is go back to the 3-step sparring, which you have the most comfort with. Most people have the most comfort with. Okay, I'm comfortable with this one, or I'm comfortable with this, right? Or I'm comfortable with this, right? So then what else can I add to it? All right. So what I've been doing lately, like with 1-steps, and we'll do a couple of 1-steps, been utilizing the last movement of those 3 steps, right? So go here, 1, 1, 2, roundhouse kick to the gut, right? Or if I wanted to just do all hand, right? I can do here, palm block, right? 1, 2, right? And then from here, you can step in with an elbow to the, right, to the chin, or to the side of the cheek. Okay. Hey, Natalie, can you close that? Natalie, can you close the back door? Can you close the back door? I think I got AC running now. Yeah. I mean, close. He's got it. Can you close that front door, sir? Close the front door. So, yeah, I got AC running now. So, all right. So, yeah. So, you know, when you're teaching and you're kind of at a loss at what to teach, think about, okay, let's go back to a 1-step, you know, or 3-step sparring, right? So, what could I do here? You know, what could I do for a separate hand technique when I'm here, right? Okay. A lot of times I like elbows. You like utilize an elbow. So you do that knife hand strike, and you can come across with a second elbow, right? So knife hand, boom, right? If you're gonna do a hand and leg, yeah, of course. Here, 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 right?
Elbows are strong,
Mhm.
and they don't injure as well.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
do, but
As long as you're hitting with the point, right? As long as you're hitting with the flat, it's gonna do a lot of damage, right? Okay.
I ran mine into a board the other day. Still hurts.
Nice.
You hit it right on
On the
bone.
funny bone.
Right on the
Yeah.
head.
The other thing you want to think about with elbow strikes is to encourage the students to stay this way instead of this way. A lot of students end up doing this. And they also, the striking elbow, a lot of times they use as a grip. So they're gripping with the striking elbow instead of striking with the fisted elbow.
Mm.
And it's important, the fisting is important because the tighter you make that fist, the stronger you make all those forearm muscles to protect the bone. All right. And then we reinforce that with the support arm. That's the difference here.
You want like that, not like this.
Yeah, we don't want like that, right? Here. All right. And then encourage them basically to swing level. Because a lot of times what happens, they dip and then they start swinging like this.
Then they're hitting like
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're hitting, yeah, right up here. They're not really hitting with the elbow.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that would be a hard habit for me to break if it was the other way.
Mhm.
I've always done it that way.
Yeah.
If I did it that way,
But you're gonna notice what if
Yeah,
as
now
you
that I
watch
say it,
watch the
that.
kids, watch the students, especially when doing 3-step sparring, number 3, right, and see how they're doing that elbow strike, right? Majority of them, I guarantee, their hand is here, right, and so
Yeah.
the only way the elbow can come is
is that.
this, right? It's the you know the Mel Gibson, right? Mel Gibson, Lethal Weapon, right? I got to hit my shoulder, right? That's literally what they're doing because it's down here.
Somebody up with a chicken wing.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So instead of here. And the reason for that is usually because their stance is bad. Right?
Mm.
Because they're not getting into a front stance or right? They're treating it as a walking stance. So they go here. Right? Or and what do we tell them? Where's the target, right? Target is underneath the armpit, right? Right underneath the arm, punching arm. Right? So and this is the other thing too. When you have a height difference between the two people. All right. So what does a little kid do, right? Right? Because they're trying to reach up high, right? They just kind of swing in or whatever, right? But you guarantee the kid is starting from here and then trying to swing it up,
Mhm.
right? Now the adult working with the little kid, you know, they're gonna start low too, right? And instead of adjusting their body, getting here like this, They don't, right? They adjust the arm.
That's a good idea.
Right?
With tall guys, I usually used to do this one.
Yeah, upward elbow strike. Yep.
That one because I'm short.
Mhm.
I couldn't reach his chin if he's standing and I'm in a front stand.
Well, no, I'm not gonna go for the chin unless I get him bent over. How am I gonna bend him over? I'm gonna kick him in the gut or the groin. Gut, groin. Oh, and then there's your upper elbow.
That's why
Set up.
No, I mean you just think about it conceptually, right? How do we make a takedown easier, right? If someone's upright, you know, you look at like UFC fighters and how they fight, right? When they're in full strength, it's hard for them to get the other person to the ground, right? Without locking something up, right? Or catching them off, like unexpectedly catching them off balance. It's very difficult to get a sweep down, right? What happens now, round 5, fourth round, right? Fatigue, right? Right? You see the sweeps and the takedowns much more successful, right? Because of fatigue, because of damage, right? And that's the same thing here. How do I get someone to the ground easier, right? I damage them, all right? So instead of just doing one and trying to sweep, right? Yeah, you hit me here, I'm still got my feet. Yeah, foundation's still solid, right? But if I go face and then I go gut, now I'm sucking up like this, right? Makes that leg a lot easier to sweep, right? It's the same thing here. I block, jab elbow, right? Here, I've loosened him up, right? And then makes this part a little bit easier, right?
Yep.
And then getting him off balance, right? Because now you're on one leg, right? And that's what makes that big difference, all right? So, all right, let's see. So we did the elbow strike or outside in block, elbow grab. We did the stepping to the outside, sweep the leg. All right. We did the palm block with the side kick. All right. So another one that I like to teach is one with the arcan especially for black belts. All right. How we do in cardio, this movement here, we're going to do upward this way. So this is what we call an arcan block or a C block, basically, but we're going to shoot it straight up. So the way we do this particular one is that when our opponent punches, I want to step on the inside of their foot with my left leg, landing in the front stance. And at the same time, my left hand starts from my waist and comes up, basically capturing or getting up underneath the elbow of this way, on their punch. So if they're punching, I want to be here, right underneath.
Okay.
Okay, so
Not at the wrist, but at
not at the wrist, yeah, for leverage purposes. All right.
Makes sense.
Now for a smaller kid, I don't mind them going to the wrist. For adults, I always encourage getting to the elbow. Okay, but for kids, it's okay because kids are gonna have a hard time grabbing from the medial part. But same thing here. So we're gonna do the same strikes. So chin strike, gut strike. And then from here, when we make that grab, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull to our right. So we're gonna pull across to our right. As we do that, we're gonna transition from our front stance facing our opponent to a front stance facing the side, 90 degrees to the side, to the right side. The front foot is the sweep foot. Okay, so right now, my opponent's foot is basically on this side of my left foot. Okay, so now from here, I've done these 2 strikes. I'm going to pull straight to the side here. And what that does, it causes me to go this way, get me off balance. And then on top of that, I'm going to slide my left foot this way, right? And then it's going to go like this, basically. So literally, I'm being dropped forward. So the key here, what a lot of people don't understand is they just try to pull. They don't move that front foot. They just try to pull across.
That makes all the difference.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is we're going from front stance facing front stance to the right. 1. So scoot back just a little bit, sir. So go ahead and do that motion here. So you'll be able to here. 1, 2, right? So now, no. Just I want you to pull and slide. Pull across here, and then slide your leg as well into that front stance. You see there?
Oh.
Okay.
I'm glad you showed me.
All right. Yeah. There's their sweep right there. You see?
That makes a difference.
Right. So his front foot catches my foot. His front foot catches my foot, and then basically sweeps and takes my foot out.
And you've got his hand. So
yeah. So he got my hand. So basically, literally, he's throwing me to the ground. All right.
You're not getting out of that one.
Yeah.
And then you finish it with what a side kick or stomp.
Yeah, stomp or something. You can do a little soccer kick to the face. Because literally they're going to be down here like this, right?
Right.
Down like that, right? Yeah.
You do like Phil. You jump on their back and just.
Yeah, right. You can. Yeah. You always say jumping on the back, but the reality is that if you're literally jumping on the back with like both feet, you're gonna try to just jump on their back. You're gonna gank your ankle.
No, I mean like.
You're gonna fall.
Oh, he's gonna sit on you. Yeah. But that's like 240 pounds. That's different, I'm sitting on you with 140 pounds. You're gonna be like, yeah, whatever, So, yeah, pretty much. All right.
All right, that's good. Yeah, that foot.
Yeah. Now, a couple of variations. Obviously, is it intuitive for us to step in to our opponent that is trying to step in to us, right? Occasionally, yes, because they're not expecting it, right? That's the thing about self-defense, right? If they know what the outcome is going to be, or if they know what's going to happen, then they can kind of orchestrate a defense, right? If you're going to try to wrist lock me, and I know you're going to try to wrist lock me, I can maneuver myself to prevent from getting wrist locked, right? It's like, these people here, let's say from here, you're going to grab and you're going to twist. So grab, and then you're going to kind of twist, and you're going to see this here, right? If I don't know any better, I'm going to get locked here. Okay. But once he starts to do that, if I know he's going to do that,
Go with it, yeah.
right, I can prevent, right? So part of what we have to do to think about is, how do we catch our opponent off guard from a self-defense standpoint, right? Natural inclination is whenever someone steps in towards you, you step back. You want to maintain that personal distance. So occasionally stepping in will be beneficial because it catches them totally off guard, right? Because they're expecting you to move back. But you have to be confident, and you also have to be very secure in your technique, because now you have a smaller room for error. Why do we step back on a lot of these techniques? To give us time, to buy us time to be able to see everything that's happening, right? So we have time to react. Yeah, right? And quickly make an assessment, right? You have to make an assessment much quicker if you're stepping in. Much quicker, right? Yeah, and so that's where, when you start to do this, when you start to see people, especially once they get the movement side, right? We go back to the 3 phases of learning, right? Learn the movement first. So when we're teaching that takedown, whatever it is, just work on this. 1, 2, sweep, all right? Okay, get them to learn that movement. And then when they feel comfortable, we're not having to think about, is it this leg? Is it this leg? Yeah, once they get comfortable and they can do this without thinking about it, right? Walk and chew gum at the same time, then we can start talking a little bit more about detail. Right? We can talk a little bit more about, okay, where's your foot position? Where do we want our foot? Right? We don't necessarily have to have it right next to their foot. Even if we're on the inside of it, it's even better. We're slightly in a little bit further, because then we can use this almost as a hook, the foot as a hook to do the sweep. All right? So that aspect there, and once again, that's the detail phase, right? And then ultimately, the third phase is the speed and power. So that's where you're now the choreography comes into play, because not only is it important for you to do the takedown correctly, if you're going to take me down, for me, I have to sell it, right? Because if I don't sell it, I'm going to get injured.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? If you're going full speed and I'm right, and I don't know what you're doing, I'm going to get hurt, right? But choreography says, okay, I know exactly what you're doing. And so I'm going to go with the movement, right? To protect myself, but also to make you look better, right? To give you that sense of, oh, now I've got some speed. Now, this makes sense.
Better in tests too.
Of course it does, right? But the reality is that, people don't think about the other side of it. They only think, oh, I got to punch. Yeah, right? That is the easy part of it when you're doing 3-step and 1-step. But as a blue belt, you have to know both sides. You have to understand both sides, right? Because 1 prevents injury to yourself. 2 prevents injury to the other person that's doing the takedown. Right? Because everything that we start to do now, blue belt and up, there's a risk. There's a huge risk. Self-defense, there's a huge risk. Right? We start thinking about wrist locks and arm bars and things like that. If we're goofing off, we're not paying attention, someone's going to get hurt. Yeah. Right. Once again, 4 pounds of pressure, they might think that's a lot. It takes a lot to do that. 4 pounds of pressure isn't much at all. It's like literally a grip. Someone can grip 4 pounds. Especially us gentlemen, we can grip 4 pounds, and that's how much it takes to dislocate something. Yeah, so it's very dangerous. So it's understanding. It's like, there's one of the self-defense where we kind of work on popping the elbow or breaking the elbow, right? But what do the kids do? They're yanking, right? They're yanking all the way down. They don't understand.
Especially if somebody's bigger.
Yeah.
They got to do it harder.
Yeah, right? And it's okay if you're bigger, right? If Isaiah's doing this to you, it's not going to hurt you, right? Because why? You're going to be towering over him like this. It's like if Mr. Hammer and I are doing self-defense, and I'm doing this one on him, he's just going to tower over me. And it's not going to do anything. I would never use that technique on him. Right? For him, I would be turning him with this one, or I'd be getting him locked here. All right? I'm not going to try to do this one on him. Yeah. But once again, right, the kids don't understand that. So we have to be very careful when you start to teach these takedowns and the self-defense pieces, and we don't want them to go, okay, yeah, you can do whatever you want. That's one thing we do not want to do. We do not want to encourage that. We want them to do it the way that we teach them, right? And the way we teach is from a safety standpoint, more so than anything else. Once again, this is one of those things where, I talk about Taekwondo being self-defense, but really that's not our primary focus, right? Really our primary focus is health and well-being. That's really our core goal here at Apex is health and well-being. Self-defense is a piece of that, all right? But it's not the sole reason, So when you're talking to people about Apex, and you're promoting the school, tell them that this is, it's health and well-being. It's life skills, right? You're going to learn self-defense in that process because there are people that just want to learn self-defense. I want to use Taekwondo to learn self-defense. Right? Taekwondo, quite frankly, is not a good martial art for self-defense. True self-defense.
Yeah.
Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu are probably better, but those involve hand-to-hand combat, right? Taekwondo is good from a self-defense standpoint. What are we teaching, right? We're teaching how to avoid, how to divert, right? If we can do those things, then everything that we do is going to be effective in a self-defense standpoint, because the ultimate goal of self-defense is escape, right? Yeah. So as long as we're on our feet, as long as we're upright, we can escape. We're not going to be in a situation. Whereas with judo and aikido, now that's hand-to-hand combat. It's right. It's taking people to the ground, locking them up, and those kind of things becomes a lot more challenging, right? Those are more, once again, specialty-oriented types of things. So when we're talking about people, we have to understand that. We have to understand our audience. So when we're working with that, what are we doing? What's our number one goal? Health and well-being. right? So if we do that and we think about that, okay, so what's our well-being when we do takedowns, right? Learning how to fall, learning what we're teaching, and making sure that they're doing it correctly. So every movement, you know, it's good that you're documenting this, sir. I mean, I know you're doing this for your own benefit, but other people will certainly benefit from that, in being able to utilize that resource in regards to that. You know, for me, like I said, we don't number these because that's just another added, oh, I got to memorize this in this number. Makes it hard. Yeah, it's just one of them, right? And so, but you have now an idea of my logic that goes behind this. Why do I teach it in this particular manner? Because as an adult, we need to know the whys, the hows, right? Not just the movement itself. The kid just needs to know the movement. How do I get from point A to point B? Show me how to get from point A to point B. Okay, I can do that. I can get from point A to point B. Okay, I've got it. And that's okay for a kid. All right. Now, a kid that excels, okay, yeah, we can certainly go, okay, let's fix point A. Where are you blocking here? How are you blocking? Show me that block. Because a lot of times what people do too, right? So if Mr. Daniel, go and do that first one where you're doing the outside in block, right? So if I'm a kid and I'm doing it with him or whatever, right? Yeah. See, they're already moving the hand, right? They're stepping along and all this stuff, right? Right? Especially kids. I always see kids once that's fine. You know, right? Instead of, right? Because see, now this helps him. Right? If I do it properly, now he's got much better chance of being able to do it correctly.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, once again, this is just building a foundation, because in real life, it's not going to happen that way. You know, they're not going to bow. Your opponent's not going to bow to you. They're not going to go, yeah, I'm waiting for you, right? Waiting for you to key out.
They do in the movies.
Of course they do, right? In real life, they're going to go here like this, and they're going to start punching, so you got to react.
Right.
But what are we doing? We're creating the structure. We're creating the structure just like we do 3-step sparring first to give you time to think about what you want to do to counter. Right? And then 1 step now, okay, I got to think quicker. Right? Because in real life, I got to think quicker. I'm not going to get 3 chances to block. I might only get 1 chance. So I have to be able to, boom, do your movement quickly. Right? And then the blue belt piece is now based on thinking quickly. Now, how do we get opponents to the ground? Because if we can get an opponent to the ground, that gives us a better chance of escaping. Right? So that's where that logic comes into play. And then when we start talking about self-defense, that's where what happens if someone grabs you? Because we've been all this time, we've been just talking about people not grabbing, really. We're just fighting at a distance. Right? So now what happens if someone actually grabs a hold of me? What can I do in that situation? What do I need to do? How do I release? How do I get it, get an escape? All right. And then at that black belt level, now we start to incorporate, okay, now we have to start thinking not only about the release and escape, now we got to think about, now I got a weapon, I got a knife, I got a gun. What equations there? And then as we get up higher in black belt level, now it starts to think about, okay, what happens if you're seated? What happens if you're seated and now someone comes at you over the table, or you're sitting on a bus, or you're sitting at the movie theater, and now someone comes and tries to do something with the ladies, right? What happens if someone inappropriately now starts to try to touch you, to try to create that dominant position? What can we do there? And so we're building that foundation, right? Because some of the tricks that we learn with 1-step sparring, if we know where to attack, can we attack the eyes in a seated position? All right? Because, the kids, you see the kids a lot of times, they go like this, they go here, they do this, right? And yeah, it creates some structure, but the reality is, oh, they got an eye gouge. I can go, if I'm in a seated position, I can do that and just jab them in the eye quickly, right? Because what's going to happen there? Buys you time. Yeah, gives you time, right? Gives you an opportunity, a diversion, right? So that's my mindset and how I approach the 3 steps and the 1 steps and the takedowns, self-defense kind of things. in my teaching style. So that way you guys know where I'm coming from. And as you guys start to be in those roles where you have to teach someone, always think about and utilize, okay, let's go with the basics. And then how can we make those more advanced?
Could literally spend a couple of months of Saturdays on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, we can go through an entire Saturday. Let's just work on 3-set sparring number 1 as the starting point. As the starting point. What variations, what options do we have here? What can we do? All right. So, and we can certainly do that from a resource standpoint for black belts, just for black belts to kind of use as a network. We can do that. We can start doing that in our black belt classes as well on Wednesday nights. You know, where we keep it low impact, right? Where we're not moving around so much. I think will help you, Mr. Giles. Am I cutting in and out? I think I'm cutting in and out. Is my
I
audio
don't think
cutting in and out?
it's okay.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's cutting in and out here, so I'm thinking
Oh.
my battery might be dying on my battery pack, but needless to say, you know, we'll explore those options because we want you to obviously slowly get yourself participating again now that your foot's healing.
Right.
No, he got surgery done on his toe. He got a joint put in. So,
Yeah.
some whole, yeah.
But I didn't know what.
Yeah, so he has surgery done.
Yeah, you'll
Was
see.
it right
you'll
after?
see the
Was it
scar
right
soon enough.
after? It was right after 4th of July, right?
Right. Correct. Yep. So we're about 3 weeks post-op. So hopefully, today it feels bad, but you know it varies day to day. So
Yeah,
fingers
so
crossed.
for him,
Hope it
he,
heals.
you know, obviously he can't do as much of the physical stuff. So kicking piece is not conducive for him, but he can certainly do more of the self-defense, takedowns, one-step sparring piece because that's very low impact. You know, where he doesn't have
Yeah.
to move around so much. And this is good to kind of help him. So, you know, anytime that you want to jump in on Zoom on that 7 o'clock class on Wednesdays, right?
Oh,
Or if you
yeah,
decide,
okay.
yeah, or if you decide to come in, then we
Right.
can certainly change it and work on that, you know. So
Okay.
I kind of do the black belt class based on, I'll have like one thing in mind that I want to accomplish, but then, you know, depending on who's here, you know, I may up it. So like, you know, sometimes if it's just all the kids, then we're doing a ton of jumping kicks, right? Getting them working on those jumping kicks. If I start to get more of the older group in here, then we start to, hey, let's take a little bit of time. Let's work on forms.
Yeah.
Right? Because forms at least shouldn't do too much. I know
Right.
some pivoting movements might. And so, you know, teaching people, hey, how do I deal with someone that can't pivot? They have a hurt knee, a hurt, the inner groin that they pull because they did the crescent kick wrong because they didn't pivot. So if you notice, like lately in class, I haven't been doing a lot of crescent kicks or butterfly kicks in class. Right. And that's depending on my audience. So I know, and this is where you know, as an instructor, make sure, hey, is anyone injured? What are you injured? What did you hurt? So if you got someone that has a hamstring pull.
That's why you asked me on Wednesday.
Yeah.
How's your hamstring?
Exactly. Right. Because if the hamstring is still bothering you, then we're going to avoid doing lots of axe kicks and front kicks. All right. We're going to try to do things, or we're going to say, hey, we're going to do low impact, kick low, kick slow, instead of trying to snap things out. All right. So part of this, you know, once again, health and well-being. That's really my goal. So, all right. Is there, any other questions or anything at this point? Our time's just about up, and I got some tournament people gotta get going. I don't want to be here till like 9 o'clock tonight filming, because these guys are going to try to be perfectionists. With, you know, we have to record 6 poomsays.
No.
We have to record, each of them have to record 6 poomsays, but they have to record 2 of them together in sequence. They have to do one 30-second break and then do another one. So they have to get both of those 2 poomsays in one recording down pat.
I see.
And if you look at my group back there, they're not the sharpest crayons in the pad. And so it's gonna take a couple of filmings. We're gonna have to, you know, that whatever that director's take 10, take 12. That's gonna get a lot of exercise. Yeah, whatever they call it, you know.
You're gonna be busy in the photo editing or video editing software.
I wish I could. I'm not gonna have that luxury. I don't have that photo editing stuff. I could call Mr. Hooks, see if he
Oh
might.
yeah,
He's
he
talented at
can put
that.
some sparkle on.
Yeah, right. So needless to say, we're gonna try to get the best views of these poomsaes for them, so that they can have the best opportunities of scoring well.
Yeah, great. The only one thing, at some point I'll have to get a pair of shoes.
Okay.
I think like Mr. Daniel's shoes or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
I'm wearing mine out. I put them through some.
They're good. I mean, they're gonna last. So
Yeah,
as long as, like I said, you don't get holes in the bottom of them, yeah, I can certainly do that.
Yeah.
Let me know what size you need, and I can
Okay.
certainly get those ordered in.
Cool.
These are comfortable.
All right. Sounds fun.
Yeah. Do you prefer ties or slip-ons? That would be the other
I've
thing.
had only the slip-ons before.
Okay.
Never had
You're
one
okay
top
with
with
that?
lace.
They don't like, because some people don't like the slip-ons because their feet kind of
Yeah.
fall out of them.
If they're tight,
Maybe a lace, or sometimes even put like Velcro on them. But I think maybe a lace would be better and hold it on tighter.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. And then just let me know what kind of a price range you're looking at as well.
All right.
So, I think the ones that we got from Mr. Daniel here, these are about $45.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Very affordable. You can certainly go a little bit higher end and, be up in the, $60, $70 range.
Yeah. Get the cool Adidas ones.
And that you're primarily paying for name, unfortunately. The newer ones tend to wear out a lot more than I have a pair of really old ones that I had back when I first got them in the 80s.
Yeah.
That lasted 20 plus years.
That's awesome.
They were, I mean, they really quality. And then I got, when I first started here at Apex, my partner at the time, he bought me a pair of the higher end ones.
Yeah.
And those only lasted about 5 or 6 years, and they were toast.
yeah, mine.
Wow.
I think I had the same kind.
Yeah.
That's probably.
And yeah, they're
Real
like
leather.
$80, $90, and
Yeah.
they lasted like about 5 years. So, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, sir. Any questions for you?
All right,
Mr. Daniel?
guys.
Okay. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend, sir. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thanks.
everything.
Yep.
We'll
Yep.
talk. See you guys.
Heal well.
Oh, thanks. I will.
Yeah.